Before the break, you heard a frankly chilling warning tonight from the former commander of U.S. Special Operations about the stakes of suppressing facts and the truth in democracy. Let's get some perspective now from New York Times contributing op-ed writer Wajahat Ali. He's a CNN contributor, also CNN senior political commentator and former Republican presidential candidate Rick Santorum, former U.S. Senator from Pennsylvania. With us as well, CNN legal analyst Carrie Cordero, who served as at the office of the Director of National Intelligence. Senator Santorum, shouldn't the president be concerned that Russia's meddling in the 2020 election just like they did in 2016 and kind of calling it a Democratic hoax?
Well, I think he should be concerned, and I believe he is concerned. I think he's concerned that that this information is being fed out there, and that it leads to exactly what your previous guests have talked about, dissension and conflict between Democrats and Republicans. And I think the president, unfortunately, played into that. I think you've seen Democrats react just the same way. Some, at least the ones in running for president, the same way, sort of trying to sow dissension, and which accomplishes exactly what the Russians, hope to do, which is to sow doubt about the validity of our elections.
Right. Well, watch out, though. The president called this idea disinformation, essentially. He was saying that this is misinformation. And the information
the specific thing about helping his campaign. I don't think he's saying that the Russians are involved in trying to affect the election as disinformation. I think everyone accepts that as the truth.
Does the president?
The part about
he told Vladimir Putin he didn't.
Trump doesn't accept it. Trump doesn't accept it.
He told Vladimir Putin he doesn't understand why they would be involved.
I mean, remember when he was standing next to Putin in Helsinki like an impotent lapdog, just agreeing and nodding his head with Putin said? He threw his own intelligence agencies under the bus. For the past 4 years,
but
Donald
that's not
Trump,
what he's been complaining about. He's been complaining about the fact that they talked about his campaign being
Let me just bring the receipts. Give me 30 seconds, just bring the receipts, and then let's debate it out, all right? The reason why Trump is a Russian asset is trending is because Trump behaves like a Russian asset. Trump has said that his own intelligence agencies are part of the deep state. He throws them under the bus, doesn't believe all of our intelligence agencies that have concluded that Russia interfered in the 2016 election. Instead, he believes Vladimir Putin. He promotes pro-Putin talking points. He attacks all of our allies, the EU, NATO, Open Skies Treaty. He is sending Attorney General William Barr on taxpayer dollars all around the world to gather evidence to promote a Russian conspiracy theory that Ukraine, not Russia, interfered in the 2016 elections. And he sits here and he says that there's all these deep state conspiracy theories, and instead of doing something as our commander-in-chief and promoting the election security bill that the House passed, he fires DNI McGuire for simply presenting him information. And if Putin's goal is to cause dissension, if Putin's goal is to weaken democracy, if Putin's goal is to hurt our institutions, Trump is Putin's asset.
Yeah, the reality is that Donald Trump has been tougher on Russia than any president in recent history. Obviously, look at what he's done with respect to Ukraine and supporting them in the process, as well as a whole host of other things that he has done to try to
is a political prisoner.
Okay. So the idea that Donald Trump is objecting is that Russia wants him to win. That's the objection.
Carrie, go ahead.
Anderson, okay, so we've outlined what the problem is, which the problem is that Congress needs to be able to obtain and the public needs to understand exactly what the Russian activities are with respect to threatening and conducting activities to interfere in the 2020 election. Right. And we have a president who is hostile to the intelligence community and doesn't accept or even want to be discussed with Congress that intelligence information. The way that we need to fix that problem is the intelligence committees need to schedule the worldwide threat briefing. And instead of conducting these hearings, even though normally intelligence committee hearings would be conducted behind closed doors, the worldwide threat briefing needs to be conducted like it is every year in public. And they need to call the intelligence chiefs, including whoever happens to be the acting director of national intelligence on that day, along with the chiefs of the other intelligence elements who have information about the 2020 election threats, and they need to testify in open session. And what that will do is it'll drive two things just quickly. One, it will produce a written statement that the White House will see ahead of time, so there won't be a surprise about what's in the written statement. The second piece is that then members of Congress in open session can ask these officials under oath what the actual intelligence is. Now, the risk is that the president might not like what is said in open session, and he might even fire people. But if that's what happens, then that will be information and a data point that the public will have to understand why he doesn't want this information out.
Senator Santorum, I mean, does it concern you that the president fired Joe Maguire? I mean, for, it seems like, doing what was his job, which is reporting to Congress, no?
Again, I mean, you know, there's been lots of reporting about what was actually said in that hearing and the amount of evidence that actually supported the idea, or intelligence that supported the idea that President Trump's campaign specifically was being helped. And I think that was the real concern. And of course, you know, look, let's just be honest. I mean, the Intelligence Committee is where the impeachment and Adam Schiff is where the impeachment came from. And so that's obviously a very sensitive point on the part of the president that this, what seems to be shaky information that they did not get a heads up on, was briefed to the committee that was that started the impeachment against him. So,
right, but where else are you going to go? I mean,
that's it. Well, but I mean, there's
committee.
I guess there's protocols to, you know, if you're going to brief this to a committee that just impeached the president, you might want to let the president know and sort of and give him the backup as to why they're going to say those things. And so I can sort of understand why the president was not happy with the way things went down.
But Wajahat, I mean, it's hard to imagine that the president was not also given the same information and informed whatever Congress was informed of, that it would have caught the president by surprise. I mean,
I just want to remind everyone that the president was impeached for trying to abuse his power to force Ukraine to interfere in our elections. He, in an interview with George Stephanopoulos, said he is open to foreign interference. He asked Russia in 2016, Russia, if you're listening. And so the question I have for Republicans and Donald Trump is, why are you not protecting U.S. elections from Russian interference? Why are you against an election security bill? Why are you spending money for Space Force? Why are you spending money to bail out farmers? That's socialism, by the way. Why don't you spend money to actually help our elections? And another thing, if Donald Trump is watching, you criticize literally everybody. You criticize the movie Parasite. One tweet to criticize Vladimir Putin. I dare you to criticize him just once. Give me one tweet to prove that you're against Putin.
I got to leave it there. Wajahat Ali, Senator.